gotta stay.
Good morning, everyone. Hello, hello. Let's talk about love, baby. Hello, Aunt Jen. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm doing very well, thank you. For the most part, right? Like
Yeah.
there's lots to navigate in the world. And so I would say that like you're catching me on the upswing of the wave because I'm like a wave, right? It goes in and out. So depending on what's going on. And so right this moment, I'm definitely on the upswing of my
That's great.
wave.
That's great. And
And you?
everything is like a wave. My waves are choppy. They're choppy,
Oh, I
right?
get it. I get it.
You got a lot of good and then some weird stuff in life, as we all do. And I just want to say hello to Lucille and Vivian and Carol and Gina and everybody else who's here watching on the DL. Oh, I got to connect this to my Facebook if it'll connect. And let's see if it works. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. Hello. All right, here we go. So yeah, the world is weird, and that's part of the choppiness, right? I think a lot of us, hello, Holly. I think a lot of us have good stuff going on personally, but then the outside world is weird.
Yeah, I use the word, I don't know if it's appropriate, but for me, it's heavy. Like it's
Yes.
it's heavy energy, and how do I navigate this heavy energy, like the ebbs and the flows of the heaviness, and whatever's kind of out there going on, how does this pertain to me? Where does this live inside me? That there's something that's there, and so I think that that can sometimes be a part of it as well.
It does feel heavy. I avoid the news at all costs. Right now, I can't tell you the last time I actually watched news.
Mm,
I do follow some content creators. I've said this many times, but I just can't even watch them anymore. Like, if I get more than a minute or two of the information, I'm just like, look, until the people who are in jail that are supposed to be in jail, I don't want to know anything else.
mm,
Like, I know too much, and people they put content out with no trigger warning that's very disturbing, and they shouldn't do that, and they do it for views, and it's just hurtful and painful. So um and
yeah,
my job's on social media. I have to be on there, so it's like I have to go on there to post. So it's that makes it choppy, but in between everything's great. I love my clients. I've had some great readings. I'm interviewing a couple of new mentees in the next week or two for annual mentorship. So that's absolutely wonderful. I'm very excited about that. Um, and I had a reading yesterday, and the lady asked me why I call you Aunt Jen. And she goes, "She's not old enough to be your aunt. Why? Why do you call her Aunt Jen?" So, for the audience, for anybody who's wondering, Jennifer is not my aunt. She's my very best friend. We've known for 40 years. We've known each other for 40 years. So, can you explain to the people, the masses, why are you known as Aunt Jen?
it's one of the most endearing names that I remember being called. I mean, I've been called Aunt Jen since I was in my 20s, or like 20, like just because of being around certain cultures where that's actually respectable. Like you speak to your elders in that way. And then also just the desire to want to be an aunt in reality of it. And then being even around like, your nieces and nephews, and like, so it just kind of turned into it. Like it just, people just started calling me Aunt Jen. And it's one of those names that like, I think for a lot of people too, like when someone hears the, mom, right, that kind of like ignites something within you, or maybe there's like a endearing love word that someone, your partner or somebody's called you, and it just invokes something within you. And so whenever I'm called Aunt Jen, there's a persona within me that definitely comes to attention, like in a very, very different way. And so I've just always really enjoyed that. And then it had even more meaning once I actually had my own blood ones that was Aunt Jen, and now I'm a great aunt. And then I'll be a grand aunt. Like I can't wait to be a grand aunt.
What's a grand aunt?
So a grand aunt is so my niece that had a child, I'm her great aunt.
Mhm.
If that child has a child, I'm the grand aunt to her.
Oh, I never heard of that. That's amazing.
Yeah, I ended up learning about that even more because I have grand aunts that I always thought were my great aunts, and my dad ended up telling me, no, those were my aunt, and I was like, oh, okay. And so then he gave me the lesson, but I really actually tap into them. These two ladies, they were my grand aunts, and they never married. They were teachers. They lived together, and they traveled all over the world, like
Mhm.
numerous times. And we're talking way back in the day when like women did not travel. Like, I mean, it was like unheard of for them to go and do these things. And like, they were just these beautiful, beautiful souls that were just out there teaching and helping and doing different things and taking care of themselves and didn't find the need to partner with somebody. You know, they had each other and whatever. And so I really like to tap into their energy, but they were my grand aunts. And yeah, I just like that. It does something. It brings something and evokes something within me.
You learn something new every day. Okay, so those in the audience watching, have you ever heard that term and did you know about grand aunts? That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think about my lineage and my family and if I
I
have
don't think
any.
we really talk. I mean, I don't even remember because like I said, I've always referred to them as my great aunts, but then my
Yeah.
dad was like, no, they're my great aunts. And I was like, oh, wait, what? It was like, wait, how does that work? And then he was like, grand. And I was like, ooh, I want to be a grand aunt. That sounds like fun. Right? Like,
Sounds amazing.
yeah.
It's like
So
a grandma aunt.
right. So I was like, okay, so we have goals, right? I got to get there to be a grand aunt, right? Like it's like, all right, we got years to go, but we can do it.
I am so excited. And when you have these nieces and nephews and your great niece now, I also, have a million of those people in my family, so many nieces and nephews and greats and all the stuff.
Mm.
How does the love you share with them, how does that feel? How do
Mm.
you how does that how does that look in your life and how do you feel?
I mean, I think it must, I in this world, like I was not, I didn't have a child come in. I definitely was a dog mom, and that's definitely different. And it also has a lot of the same things of what it brings out in you, is what I always think. The role, whatever you're playing, what does that bring out in you? And with regards to like all the nieces and nephews that I have out there, like I've always had nothing but love, just wanting to be a safe place of love and
Mm,
a place where you can come to, where it's like, hey, I want to be that one place where it's like, hey, something's going on. Like, let me call my aunt, right? Like she'll be there. She'll hold space for me, right?
mhm,
So there's definitely that piece of it. I think that what I think about it often with regards to my own blood ones and like the relationship and how that goes, and you're like watching them live their lives, and maybe you don't get the interactions that you want, and um, you don't get the time that you might want. But I think that one of the lessons that I've learned from one of my nieces for sure is unconditional love. That
mm,
no matter what they do, no matter what happens, like I'm gonna love you. So you can not show up, you can keep not showing up, but I'm not gonna let myself off the hook from loving you, because that's just the way it is. Like that is unconditional love. And not saying that doesn't happen, but I definitely have a tendency. Like I am quite a love. I love to love, and yet sometimes when I'm done, I'm done. And so I'll always still love people, but like if I remove my energy of being complete with somebody, then I'm complete. And so in that situation with my nieces or my net, like you can't be done. It was one of those of like you can go and take a break. You go have a timeout, work through whatever your personal feelings are, maybe with regards to your feelings being hurt or not having enough time, or whatever that looks like. But like you're never done. Like, and so I think that I'm sure a lot of parents have unconditional love for your children, but like when do you have the time to have that or know that you really have that? And so I think that being an aunt and being in a relationship with them, that actually has taught me unconditional love, because it doesn't matter. No matter, I mean, even told them like, I don't care what you do. You could even do some of the worst things in the world. I will never not love you, because to me, there's got to be something. There's something that's going on of why you did what you did, or,
Right.
whatever's happening. And so I'm not going to not love you because of your mistakes or because of what you've done. I want to be that one safe place where I can just kind of be, listen. And that, as time goes on, I learn to listen a little more, because I always want to say something, right, and help. And so it's more about learning to just be that safe place for them to come. And so, yeah, I would say, like, the lessons, I'm always reminded. I'm always like, it's always challenging me, and encouraging me to be a better version of myself. Not that that doesn't happen in my friendships or in relationships, but I don't think that anything stretches me like being an aunt, because to me, it's very important. And I want to have that energy field for them, no matter where they are, no matter when they show up, no matter what happens. I don't want to have a space where they're feeling like, oh, I can't go talk to Aunt Jen because I haven't talked to her in a year. So she might, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't care how long it's been. Doesn't
Right.
matter. Aunt Jen will always be there to listen, because that's who I am for them.
And I love that you carried that into your mentorship and coaching program, because your name is Aunt Jen, the aunt you never knew you needed, in your coaching program. And I love that. It's perfect, because you are there for your clients in a way that most people I know have never had that unconditional person who will be there and support them. And I wish, well, I guess when I was in my 20s, I did have Aunt Jen. I just didn't know you were the Aunt Jen you are now, right? Like, we had each other in that way. Um, and I could go on a whole tangent about that, but I just want to say hi to Mangled. Hello, darling. Carol is a great grandmother to Penelope, little Penny. I love it. Wisdom Seekers, dog mom, as well. Hi, Debbie. Glad you're here. Vivian said unconditional love from an aunt. Topic definitely guided by spirit this morning. Exactly. And so,
What I was
and
going to say about the aunt that you never knew you needed, that all kind of flowed together in its own, but it was also like, I'm the aunt that I never knew I needed, because it first starts with myself, for being there, of being like, oh, I need Aunt Jen, like, right. And so might sound like, what, you sound crazy. And it's like, well, there's different personas and versions. If we think about it, it's your self-talk, right? And so who's the voice that's the most, the loudest? And for me, the voice that's always been the loudest is my teenager. And so Aunt Jen is a different voice that comes inside me. And so she's the one that I really enjoy invoking and bringing out more often than not, because the teenage Jen, she's got a lot. Like, I mean, she's great. We're great. I'm grateful for all the versions of myself and all of everything. And I think that the aunt that I never knew I even needed, right, is kind of there. And so it's kind of like just putting it out there, like, you never knew that you needed somebody, right? It's like, and that's okay, but here you go. See what sticks and what doesn't.
And when you say you never knew you needed somebody, I think there are many people, male and female, who go through their life and they don't realize they don't have the support they need. They just don't even know that it's even possible to have support. And so
True.
that's important. It's important for everyone to understand we all need each other. We all need someone. We all need that one person. Like I've said this before on here. If I had an emergency, God forbid, and I needed you by my side, I know immediately you would do everything in your power to be here as fast as possible. I know it. There's no question in my mind. And the same goes the other way, right? Like, you need me, I need you. Like, that's unconditional love, right? We all need that one person, that is our person that's going to be the ride or die, right? The ride or die. Now, I have a husband and he's wonderful and I love him. It's a very different dynamic than your best friend that you've known almost your entire life, who has seen every version of you and every good, bad, ugly, everything.
It is important, and it also, they balance out. I mean, the thing about also about your, he never tried to get, he was always like, oh yeah, you two, okay. Like he knew where we were with each other. We've, it's never been like, oh, this person has more weight than that. No, but he just always knew that and respected our relationship, just like I respect your relationship. We've never crossed over in those kinds of ways that way. But like,
I never thought of that.
But it's true.
I never thought of that. That's interesting.
And
it is true.
Right? I mean, think about it. We even talked and joked when you first were with him, he went on more dates with me than he did you. Like, so it's like I think that he was never really, he was confident in who he was in the relationship with you, to not feel threatened by me.
Yeah.
Actually to realize, wait, her having her in her life actually brings more to our marriage. Like, it actually is like, I wasn't dumping stuff to turn, right? We weren't adding toxicity per se in so many different ways. Right. And so it was like, we've gone through a lot. And he also just kind of understood. I mean, you and I have been friends for 40 years, but when I was 21, so you were how old? Like, we made a bigger commitment, right? Of like saying, like, we made a commitment of like being like, we're going to be wives, and not in a way of like, now it's a different kind of a thing. So it's not disrespect. It's just like, it was that commitment of beyond a friendship in so many ways. And honestly, like, I personally have always appreciated that, because sometimes I do like to slip out the back door. I admit it. Like, there's times, it's okay. And with you, it's always been like, you can't, like, that's just not a friend that you can be like, we're not friends anymore or whatever. It's like,
you can't delete me from your phone.
No, I was like, you guys are wives, and like, you'd have to get a divorce. And I'm like, ooh, well, like, we're not doing that, right? Because everyone knows a divorce is this huge, right? It's like, it's much more entanglement to unentangle than just being in a committed relationship when you're untangling. Not saying that they don't both have a lot of weight to them, but there's other steps to them. And so it's kind of like, we put on an extra piece, right, to our relationship, because that was something that was important to us, because we didn't have that in our lives. You might have had partners, and you might, but we didn't have that, someone hearing us, feeling us, and seeing us. And that was something that we both offered through the toxic stuff that we were sharing, through the trauma bonding that we did, through everything. It didn't matter. We heard, felt, and saw each other always. And you can't,
without judgment.
No, without judgment.
Right. I told Jen right before we popped on here.
What?
I said, hey, I have extra makeup on today because I'm about to report a podcast after this with someone about aliens and channeling aliens. And she goes, girl, you do you, girl.
I just love you, girl. Love you.
All my weird nerdiness, all my different.
It's okay though. I mean, look at the world that I was in, that you were just like, what? And now you're kind of tapping into more of this world that I've always kind of lived in, right? And you never judged me. You were just like, okay, I don't know what she's doing something.
She's meditating. She's got Ayurveda.
I love Ayurveda. The science of life. It's
all these oils. And like, what is happening?
Oh, so good. They're so good. The senses.
So the key to today is the whole reason we prefaced all of this with our 40-year friendship is, and I'll quote Jane Fonda. She was talking on a podcast the other day, and she said, women live longer than men because women have that relationship with other women that they share. They can, if they just want to call and bitch and complain, they can do that. And the other person's just going to be like, girl, all right, girl, I got your back. Or if they just want to, talk about, I don't know, whatever, anything, literally anything. And women have that with each other. Men, less likely, especially Gen X and Boomer and older men, less likely to have that kind of friendship. My husband has a million friends, but he's never going to call up his friend and say, my wife annoys me because she didn't do the dishes at 6 o'clock. She did them at 7 or whatever, some kind of dumb story, right? He doesn't have friends like that. Now we will call each other and see, blah, 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 And I think it's therapeutic to have that type of relationship. And it's all based on unconditional love. And when we are navigating times like we are now,
Mm,
unconditional love is more important than ever. So, for anybody watching now or anybody watching the replay, if you are feeling triggered, if you are feeling anxious, if you are having sleepless nights because of all the news that's constantly bombarding us all the time, lean on your friends, lean on your community. And I'm not talking about people you can't trust. Make sure it's somebody that you trust.
mm,
We need people we can talk it out with.
mm,
We need people we can call and just say, I don't know why I just feel so weird.
mm.
I just feel heavy, or I just feel dread. Like, we need to talk it out, because if you don't talk it out, where does it go, Aunt Jen? In your body.
Mm. And
And
the
then
body keeps the score.
the body keeps the score.
Mm,
So, love for each other unconditionally is the answer. And you guys have all heard me say it. And I loved at the Super Bowl halftime show the other day. Um, the Bad Bunny thing, it said, love is the only answer to hate, or something like that at the end. It said something like that. And I'm like, oh my God, Bad Bunny stealing my vibe. No, I'm just
that's what I
kidding.
thought too. I mean, not that he stole it, but I was like, go. I loved it.
I loved it too. I loved it too. And I thought, wow, the vibe of everyone who's starting to realize, okay, sitting in the crap all the time, no mud, no lotus. Okay. But the lotus eventually comes out of the mud.
Eventually.
Sitting in the crap all the time is not the answer. You have to bloom. You have to come out of the mud. And Serena said, the only thing stronger than hate is love. Okay, perfect.
That's it. And that I think he when I saw that too, like for me, it's like I was just like, this is what I taught. This is what I believe. Yet
Yeah.
it's always looked at as like so many different things. Like, oh, you live in a fantasy world. Oh, that's not how that is. Like, that's not reality. And I remember hearing, I was thinking it myself and I didn't know how to articulate it. And so I saw it written. It's funny how finding yourself as an adult often leads to getting back to who you once were as a child
Mhm.
before the world got its hands on you.
Yeah.
Bring her back. And the reason why I say that, think about that, is especially with what's going on and what has been going on and where I've been personally with all of that. Like, I was always about love. That's who I was as a little girl. Like, not that I don't know what anyone else, like, I don't know your story. That's great. Maybe you have the same thing, but like, I was a beaming light of love everywhere I went. I tried to spread love to people's parents, to people, like everywhere you went. It was like, who are you and what are you doing? And then the world got a hold of me
Mhm.
and it changed everything. And I can remember that's actually where all the shame and the wrongness came from, was how I lived, how I thought about love and spreading love and being love. And so my goal and where I've been going back to is I'm going back to that. I'm bringing her back. And
Mhm.
so it might seem like, what are you doing? There's all this stuff going on in the world. And how are you helping? And it's like, I'm just trying to be the change that I want to see in the world, which is love. Meaning, like, even, I mean, I got tainted in so many places of like, I would always be like, see someone who's angry, they just need love. Like, that was always even through everything, that's always in my response of like the people that are angry, the people that are hurting, the people are all that thing. It's love. And the reason why I thought that was because it was about the same thing for me. It was like very easy to know that. And so I am really happy and really glad to be back, like bringing her back and not letting the world be like, girl, you living in a fantasy world right now. The world doesn't need love. And no, it does. And then seeing
Yeah.
that banner from him was big confirmation for me personally, being
Same.
like, that's right, Jennifer. You
Same.
keep going and don't you let anyone tell you what you should do or how you should do it. You just go out there and you just keep on spreading love, because that's what I can do. That's what I can do. I can love. I can help people to learn to love themselves. And you start with your own self. Once you start to love yourself, then it kind of overflows into other things. So, what version of you do you want to bring back? And if it happens to be a version of love, then I say go for it. Like,
Right.
with full abandon, like just go for it. Like completely, like let it all rip.
And hate is a cry for love. It
Yes.
is.
And most
People,
people
I
are
have said it
intimidated by it.
a
Yes.
million times. All of this, and I love Serena's comment, all of this could be solved if we could unconditionally love our children, if we could teach them how to meditate and regulate their emotions, if we taught young men and boys how to understand and feel their emotions and process them at a young age and not say, big boys don't cry.
Amen.
Shut up, deal with it, get over it. Like, and all of the sports, sports can be really good if you're coached well by somebody who's compassionate and loving, but sports can also be very dangerous if there's dysfunction in the coaching, right?
Yeah.
Like it can be great and it can be awful. And in a lot of my generations, the people who coached the men in my generation when they were younger were very toxic. My husband was coached by some extremely abusive and toxic coaches. And that didn't help. So the family is telling boys, don't cry, don't have emotion. The only emotions safe for a man are anger and violence and happiness and funniness. That's it. There's nothing in between. And it's like, yeah, look at who commits all the violent crimes, mostly men, right? If we could learn how to teach young girls and women what to expect in a relationship as far as respect and love and not abuse, which is something I grew up around abuse, so I expected it in my relationship and was surprised later when I'm like, oh damn, I'm being abused. Huh. And not even knowing it. Not even knowing it. And then having the shame around not knowing that. So it all starts with the fundamentals. And all of that fundamental is unconditional love.
Yes.
And teaching these, young children how to be regulated, what to accept, what not to accept, and not follow all these parenting trends that are a whole other story.
No, I mean,
who's a parent or who knows a young parent, get them the Dr. Shefali Sabari book, The Conscious Parent. It'll change their lives.
No, it's very true. And that just even that's why I'm so passionate. I mean, your passion comes from what really lives within you. That's why I'm so passionate about helping anybody that wants support in learning to love themselves, especially the younger ones, because we didn't have that. You and I were just walking around being like, oh, that's how we're supposed to treat, right? It's like,
yeah,
if you're learning, it's like, no. And I love I do love the comment. Thank you, Serena, because I'm a big old cheese ball. Like, go ahead. It is true. They use the word cheesy, and like, it isn't. It's not necessarily the right word, but I'll be a big old cheese ball these days, and I could care less because the hate that's going on around the world towards whatever's happening towards each other when someone doesn't even understand someone else's full opinion. I mean, it's like even towards you knowing, it's just like you're assuming a lot of different things and then having all this energy of different, and it's just like you're doing a disservice in a lot of ways.
Everybody wants to be on a team. Hello, Mandy. I'm glad you're here. Vivian said, yes, you can't get rid of the darkness by keeping talking about the darkness. Love and light are the only solution. I wish more content creators on YouTube will focus on raising the vibrations. So this is the problem. They suppress it because what gets views? Hate, anger, weirdness, volatility. And it's a struggle. I'm always trying to grow my channels and all of that because that's my business. That's how I get clients and make money and stuff. And this, I had to really think about it, changing, going on certain channels and having these discussions that were kind of negative and being like, you know what? I can't have that vibe anymore. It's not helping anyone.
It doesn't resonate with you either anymore in the same way you can see. And that's where you see is like the love is overcome and it's not resonating. It's not aligning with you in a vibration anymore to the same. It's like, I mean, that's why I like to look at it like I'm just trying to be the flashlight. for you in your life. Like if I can be like just shining, like I'm not the light, but I'll shine some light in your darkness until you can find your own light.
Right. Exactly. And that is love. Right. And so that is the whole purpose of us having these discussions on Wednesday mornings, is all of this stuff that maybe people never learned from their loved ones or their families or whoever, like teachers, coaches, parents, great aunts, grand aunts.
Mhm.
We didn't, most people weren't given the school, the tools and skills to go through this. Hi, Sue Helen. I'm so glad you're here. Welcome in. We're here to allow people to see that there is a different way to navigate this world and spread love and lift each other up and build communities. I've said it and said it and said it. We have to build spaces like this for others to come in and make beautiful comments and be welcomed with unconditional love and say, look, Jen and I have had lives. You know, we've both had wonderful things that we've done and accomplished, and we've both experienced terrible things that were hard to deal with many, many times. We're in our mid 50s, and it's like, this is reality.
Mm.
But the other part of that is building a community with each other to say, you know what? We know we are fallible and we know you are fallible. But as long as you are trying your hardest to inch towards doing better,
Mm.
even if you fall back a couple of hundred steps one day, it's okay.
Mhm.
The awareness that you noticed that you fell back a couple of steps or a couple hundred steps, the awareness of that shows that you want to continue to move forward. And it's okay if we backslide, as they say in the Baptist church.
I think you're supposed to backslide.
Yeah.
So it's and that's one of the things I love. That's why I love coaching so much, is to, give that permission space, because a lot of times they have so many different things. But wait, I was doing so well. And now, and I'm like, no, I think my interpretation of it for my own personal self is I need to backslide so I can actually see the progress. And then I can kind of move forward. Like, you can't really know unless you do it and then you get out of it. Right. And so it's like, that's why I think it's like a few steps forward, one step back, few steps, it's like, you kind of need to do that so that you can create new patterns, and also so that you can actually feel and see the growth that you've made. So if you don't slip back, sometimes you wouldn't really know. I think it's a part of the process. It's
Yes.
How do you love yourself through that part? What's the self-talk, right? Is it that teenager, or is it the higher version of yourself being like, okay, well, we fell. Okay, so what are we going to do? Right? Instead of being like, you idiot, we were doing so good, and now you went out and you smoked again, or whatever it is, right? Like, that's not helping, of like you going back to try to remember, like, oh, I felt so much better when I wasn't, and oh, I remember this, or like, and there's so many different ways that you can do that. But I think that to put that pressure on yourself to think that's what the path is going to look like, you're going to be really disappointed.
Mandy, can you address Mandy?
Okay. You feel like that, right? A few steps forward and a million steps back. Okay. Well, I mean, a million is kind of, but I appreciate that, because that just shows your capacity. Okay. Because it also shows, no, it does. So I'm going to dissect the whole thing. So to me, having what I can see from her statement is how much she is like beating herself up, because she said a million steps, not like, oh, a few, not like, it's like, oh my gosh, I've done a million steps back. It's like that, you feel like you're in that trenches of it, of like, wow, I got so far, and now look, I'm right back where I started from. Well, first of all, you're never back where you started from, because you're not the same version of yourself. So that's the first step. Second step is the extreme of the word million steps back feels like it shows me like the level of how much you're feeling this, which also shows the level of how much your willingness is, because you're looking at it so large. I mean, it's not like a few steps forward. I mean, the phrase is a few steps forward, a few steps back, not a million, right? It's like a million, girl. Like that's like, but it also shows like in so many ways how I would address it too is like, how are you treating yourself in these steps back? And from that phrase right there, I would say you are beating the shit out of yourself. And all I would say about that is that's not going to get you anywhere. And even though you're like, well, how do I do it? Love is always the answer. So what would you say to your own friend? Like, what would you like, how would you handle it? Like one of the things that I've done in the past that's worked really well, especially when you're in a nice state with yourself, writing yourself notes, like letters, like different things that are going on so that before something happens, you go back and read that. Like you're in a certain phase. Like you're trying to be there to love you, not to have like, oh, let me call this person so that they can help me. Like, yes, that's true too. But like, where's the higher version of yourself that you can tap back into when you feel like you've taken a million steps back? So I would first address it again and be like, there's no way you took a million steps back. It's not possible. I would say, knowing you like I've known you without even knowing what's going on, you've taken a million steps forward, my dear. You've taken some back, but you've taken a million forward. So sometimes you got to sit in the ick of what you've created, your new version of your whatever's happening, and you can't just will yourself to do things. Sometimes there's other things that are going on, and we have to be able to look at them, whether they be the way you're treating yourself, whether they be an addiction, right? Like Gabor Mate talks it, like addiction is from trauma. Trauma is when you don't heal your trauma, there's addictions that are out there. So it's like we're trying to heal the addiction instead of healing the trauma and then seeing what happens to the addictions through the trauma. And so I'm just, for myself, that's how I have done it. And I wanted to prove myself, right? Like of being, right or wrong, right? But I have wanted to prove, okay, is this true? Like if I heal the trauma, will the addictions or whatever, will they subside? Will it change? And yeah, my answer is 100% yeah for me, because I'm doing the work of healing the trauma that's connecting me to things that could be an addiction or things that are not considered, whatever they are, right? But it's like it's serving you in some way as well.
Girl, we're going to snip that out and replay it later because I don't even know. The only thing I would add is for Mandy and anybody else struggling with a few steps forward and a million steps back, reverse.
Not minimizing how she really feels. It feels like a million. I just,
yes, of course, she knows. You've known Mandy since she was a newborn baby, so you understand her. And what I would add to that is look at little Mandy in your mind, little sweet, cute smile, little Mandy. And
she was sweet, but she was
she was an angel.
She had that girl had some sassafras. She had like some chutzpah, whatever you want to call it. She had sweetness, but she also had all of these different energies that were so compared to other people. Like we got to manage this girl. She's got too many different feelings and energies. And
does that remind you of someone you know?
Yeah, myself.
Yeah, you guys are very similar. Right. But the only thing I would say to little man, to grown-up Mandy, is to, when I went through my mentorship, and I also teach this to my students, is visualize little Mandy and give her what she needs. Mm-hmm. What does she need? A warm meal? Does she need a toy? Does she need a hug? Does she need love? Does she need someone to listen to her talk about her feelings without judgment?
Right.
All of the things little Mandy needed, give those to her. And that's part of healing the trauma.
Yes.
And I know you teach that in your self-love journey as well.
Especially just to go on this, because I do know Mandy, especially to know that, like, I'm going to throw it out there, like, to see, like, I know for a fact that the way that you mothered your own child, you deserve that for yourself. Mm-hmm. You get to go back right? And it's like, how do we do that? And how do we, like, okay, well, you just do it. Like, so it's like, she wouldn't talk to her daughter like that. She wouldn't, like, she was there for her 100%, like just the on top of like mother of whatever, right? The year. I mean, honestly, that girl, like what she's given and how it's helped her to become who she is. Yet you haven't given that same love and compassionate understanding to little Mandy that you did to little
girl.
yeah. I was
Little
gonna say her daughter's name, and then I don't know, I got all tripped out, like saying,
Well,
"Don't
no,
say it out loud," but I was like, "Shut up," you know what I mean? So
we
it's
don't
like,
have her.
you can use that as a gauge, in your own mind. Like if you're like, well, I don't know how to start. Okay, how would you can just start there. How would I talk to her? What would I say to her? Like, and what I mean by her is your daughter. Like, what would you say to her? How would you talk to? Well, then start to use that towards yourself.
And
Start
if
to
you're
use that.
yeah, and if you're a person who doesn't have biological children, just imagine a child in your life that you love, that you would be kind to, or a pet in your life that you would love or be kind to, or I mean, we all know children. Hopefully, we've all been around somebody's kid that we liked to some degree. So because people are listening, like Carol said, she's in the gym now listening, and the lady next to her wanted her to turn this up so she could hear what these words aren't just for Mandy, they're
No,
for everybody.
you find how
Because so many people go through things like this where they're like, I'm trying to make changes, I'm trying to make changes, and I took a million steps back. No, your awareness that you think you took a million steps back proves that you did not take a million steps back. It
no,
just
but
feels that
you're definitely probably stuck in the beat up club right now.
way. Right.
And
Yeah.
that's where it's like, that's where the compassionately inquiring within, like you're talking about, compassionately inquiring, what do I need right now? What does that look like? Well, I need this. And even if it's something that's not considered good or help, so what? Like that in itself has to learn to be accepted, whatever that is. If there's like like I'm not into, I go through, ins and outs of caffeine. Caffeine is not my friend for me. Right. And so it's like, but if I am going to do that, like, okay, well, I could at least be nice about it. It's not going to do me any good. Right. To be able to like, and so then if I fall off the wagon and have the caffeine and then I'm like, oh gosh, I feel it again. Oh, see, that's why I actually like this a little bit more when I'm not having caffeine. Right. Like you have to like have these different things. And you also, going back to, I think you remember, I know Mandy's heard me say this a million times, pattern interrupting. So you're
Right.
still, you might be taking a million steps back, but I know you've pattern interrupted in those million steps back. And so that's part of the process to get the steps to go forward.
Exactly. Yes. And all absolutely wonderful for anybody who's struggling right now with self-love. Vivian thanks her guides for finding us, which is I'm
We thank your
grateful.
guides too, Vivian.
I didn't have any human who can help guide me on this crazy ride on earth. Isn't it funny how we meet people by the strangest circumstances? Like Aunt Jen and I would have never met if my mom hadn't died. And that's just an absolute
Yep.
fact. We lived in completely different parts of the country. I wouldn't have never met my husband if a friend of mine didn't kind of have a come apart, we'll say a Missouri come apart. And I ended up on a Greyhound bus on Christmas Eve and ended up in Lexington, Kentucky, and met my husband a week later. Like those circumstances are,
Mm-mm.
our loved ones in spirit and our spirit guides make crazy things happen, like YouTube algorithms, to help us see what we're supposed to see.
It's very true. And we used to, for even before you were a medium, before we were whatever, we were even consciously aware of all that. We used to always say that your mom brought us together. Like definitely, like we were like, there's no doubt that like she was like, oh no, that's her friend. She needs that girl as her friend. And so I'm gonna make sure you two, and then even being in the same location for different times, but most of our friendship has actually been not in the same location.
Right.
So like having to be available and having the 3-hour time differences, right? It's like, but yeah, we make it work. And then sometimes you have, you take a steps back in your friendship to realize what the friendship really is. And that is a part of a relationship. They're not all going to just always be that way. It's like, but what happens in the space when you're taking time to evaluate the relationship? right? What's happening here, what's going on there, how has it looked for the most part, how you feel in the like, how do you know? That's my new one, is like, how do I feel after being around somebody? And that's where I'm starting to shift, is for like, I don't really feel very good about myself after being around you, because you're really don't even care I'm here. So like, why am I here? So like, I don't need to be here. And then also asking even more important question I've been asking lately is, how do I feel about myself when I'm with myself?
Right.
Reality, right? Like those are, just because I'm asking other people doesn't mean I don't ask myself. Most of the time I'm having a really good time. Okay, well sometimes I'm not, right? It's like, so you're starting to see that and find that, but it's like, how do you feel when you're hanging around with people? And if it doesn't feel good, like, well, I mean, there's your answer right there. Like love is always the answer. And so love is always the answer for myself first. Like
Self.
what is my, yes, where other people might not understand. I mean, I'm not trying to torch the village as I'm doing it. You know, I just want to back out quietly. Like
Right.
there's no point in that. I want to feel good about whoever I'm hanging out with or whatever's happening. And if my opinions can't be respected, then that, that it doesn't work. And I can't always articulate how I feel. That's not always been something that's been easy for me to be able to, like, because I'm in this other feely kind of place. Like people want facts and stuff. And I'm like, oh, that doesn't really work. So unless I can be in that kind of place, sometimes that's why I'll just go be with me.
Right. And also, I would add to that, how do you feel before you are going to see somebody?
Correct.
If you
Check in with that
feel
energy too.
nauseous or anxious or out of your mind because you have to go see a certain person or group of people, maybe love yourself and not go. Or, and if somebody is supposed to come into your space for a special occasion or holiday or something, and you feel very anxious that they're coming to your space, maybe make other arrangements, because we don't have to be tortured by
No.
people who are low effort, people who are abusive, people who are narcissistic, people who are controlling our emotions with their bullying nature. Like there's a million things. I'm sure you've all experienced this in some degree. You don't have to do it. You don't have to. And some families will hold money over your head and say, "Well, I did this for you." And you know what? F that. Just don't take their money. Figure it out.
Mm.
Go out on your own and figure it out. Like, and I don't mean drop everything in 1 second, like obviously plan and make arrangements, but you don't have to be beholden to somebody who's emotionally torturing you in some way.
No, and I really love that. And the more you get in touch with yourself, the more you actually know that. And when I'm going into something, if I'm having a lot of thoughts about that, like, and then I choose to not participate in something, I always reflect after and find out that there was a very good reason why I shouldn't have been there. Personally, like I'll hear some silly something will happen, and I'm like, I'm so glad I did not go. I chose myself. Like, it turned out to be a shit show, or like
Oh yeah.
whatever happened, and I'm just like, ooh, I am so glad. Like, and so it's like for me, I need to follow up the whole story so that I can get enough evidence for myself. So that the next time I go into something, I'm like, oh, I remember this feeling in my body. Oh, okay. This is just you having anxiety over whatever. That we got to calm down. That's real, but that's not, it's displaced, where this is for this particular situation. Okay, I'm not going to go. Okay, I see this now. Oh, yep, no. And that's love. I was choosing love of me, not the love of the other person wanting me to do something for them or whatever, but me being like, and that's where I don't necessarily think it's not, I don't know how I feel about it, but that's where I've told a lot of my clients, like, that's where you lie if you have to. Like, it's not always easy to tell people the truth. Like, and that's okay. That's the one time I don't really lie. That's where I will lie. Like, it's like I've been sick. People thought I was sick for a long time. Like, it's like, girl, I was not sick. Like, I just said it and actually would make myself sick because I thought that was the only thing that was acceptable, was to be sick. Right. And so I actually would have some phantom symptoms of whatever just to justify the fact, like, I didn't want to go because my body and everybody that was there was saying no.
I wanna say how important that is, to love yourself so much that you don't put yourself in those situations. And as you were saying those words, I got overwhelmed with anger, not at you, at people in my life
Mm.
who, and people who have commented, how can you be so selfish? How can, and it makes me literally, I could visualize myself bashing my hand on this desk and screaming at all the people who've ever said that to anyone here, that you must spend time with me so I can torture you. Right? And that's what it really is. People want to draw you into their toxic world. It's just like an addict. It's like the addict in the bathroom with the cocaine. Why are you in? This was a thing in the 80s. People would go in the bathroom and do cocaine with the addict in the bathroom at the party, blah, blah, blah. It was a whole thing. People want to draw you into their addiction of pain. People are addicted to pain. People are addicted to anger. People are addicted to toxicity. And when you step out and say, I'm not coming into your addicted, terrible cycle of pain and hell and whatever you're doing, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to take care of myself and I'm going to love myself. And it's not fucking selfish to do that. It is not. And if anybody's making you feel like you're selfish because you are taking care of yourself and you don't want to be tortured by them, get away from that person as fast as you can, whoever it is. And it probably is multiple people. Most people have toxic groups of people in their life. Don't feed into it. Don't let people guilt you into spending time with them so they can ignore you, make you feel bad about yourself because of their narcissistic behaviors. I mean, I could tell thousands of stories about things that have happened just in my life and things I've witnessed where people get drawn into these situations just to be treated terribly. So the person that they were spending time with gets a boost from that. I feel better because I treated you bad and made you feel bad, when it's really very toxic and very low energy.
Yes. And I'm really glad that you said addiction, because it doesn't always have to look like the addictions of whatever they are. You can be addicted to, being treated poorly. I mean, that's where you heal the trauma, and then the addictions, right? They start to shift and change because it doesn't work anymore. Most of the, you got it with friends and stuff, but generally speaking, a lot of this stuff happens with family. And then they have the card like, but they're your family, so you're supposed to. And it's like, that's where, that's guilt and shame. We've had a discussion about that. Like, it's like, and that's why it's like, you get to find your own voice of like, not even knowing why you don't want to go to that wedding or that, like, and it's like, right. Oh, I'm going to, and then people go because their fear of missing out. It's like, missing out on what? Like, what'd you miss out on? Right. And, it's all a process of your own individual space of peace and love. And it is about self-love, choosing where you want to be, who you want to be with, how you want to be around people, and even people that you love that it's hard. Sometimes, sometimes you do, if a true love, real true love, of friendship, of anything, like, you can survive anything. I mean, I look at us and I'm like, okay, we like there that's an example to me. Like, my own examples of like, oh wow, like you can orbit out and then come back around and realize that people have seen the light in their own way and find their way back and be able to grow and change. And sometimes actually exiting somebody's life actually is healthy for all parties that are involved. And also it really shows how much someone really means to you, or how much they don't, or how much, I definitely have had those situations where you're thinking someone's a really good friend, and then I've stepped away and then I look back and I'm like, I've been feeling pretty shitty actually in this relationship. And I never really said anything because of whatever reason. I just felt like I was okay. But your opinions are so strong that actually I've really not been feeling very safe or good in this friendship. So, wow, interesting, right? And then you just sit with it, with whatever's kind of going on with yourself. But it's about being your own best friend first. Right. Your own love. I keep going back to that because it's like, love is always the answer, and love is always the answer with yourself first.
Jinx.
Fill me a Coke. Remember they say that?
Yeah. Pinch poke, you owe me a Coke. Mangled has been amazing, posting all of the links in the chat. Thank you, sweetheart. I appreciate that. I did get your email the other day. I just haven't had a chance to look at it. Vivian said, I used to make excuses why I can't join family gatherings. Now I just say I'm not going, period. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. What did I hear that I haven't been able to, I haven't used it yet, but I'm going to start using it. It was, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm unable to join.
Yeah, that's it.
Like, but I've always had to feel like I've had to have an excuse. The
Right.
reason why you're not, no, I'm unable to join.
Because people probe, toxic people will probe you. Why aren't you coming? I had a toxic person in my life ask me why they weren't invited to an event that I wasn't even aware was happening until after it happened. And said, why wasn't I invited? I said, I wasn't invited. I didn't even know this was happening, because she saw pictures later. And I'm like, why weren't, oh, I don't know what to tell you, but I didn't even know this was happening. And, good luck with your feelings. Like, people put a lot of their junk on you.
That's why it's so important to work out so you can realize what actually belongs to you and what doesn't. Yeah. And until you get in there and really kind of see what's going on, so if, everyone, you're out there doing it, but if you need a little more one-on-one time, like, I'm here and I would love to journey, with you, beside you. That's what it really is. I mean, you're doing the work. I'm just there witnessing while I throw out all these, things that make you go, yeah. Really thought about that. Or, like, I like to look at it as like, everyone needs, if you're going to go build something, you need a toolbox. So what's in your toolbox? I like to help you get a whole toolbox. I always say I'm a spaghetti thrower, because, you throw spaghetti against the wall to see if it sticks. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm not attached to what you decide to do, but I'm going to throw a lot of spaghetti to see what'll stick at the wall for you, that you find that'll work for you.
And, it's interesting that we're wrapping up here, and I have to go pretty much at the top of the hour, but I've learned a lot in the past few months with these talks with you and in my podcast with Lady Shadow, that I think I've said this before. It's like, I don't have all the right answers for everybody. Mm-hmm. Not that I thought I did, but it's like but I didn't have another perspective in the way I have it now. Mm-hmm. Like, hearing your toolbox that you use and some of Lady Shadow's tools, it really lets me realize, okay, there are other options for people aside from what I'm advising them to do. And it helps me, because then I'm like, oh, I don't have to do it the way I've been doing it. Aunt Jen and Lady Shadow have other tools. I can try those as well. Like, I don't have to because I was essentially just trying to navigate alone my whole life. Like, what do I do now? And figuring it out. And I never realized, oh, I can learn these tools from Aunt Jen and implement that in my life. Oh, that's a lot easier than just trying to figure it out all by myself. Right. And that's what I was always trying to do. If I don't figure it out on myself, I'm a loser. Right? It's like when I did art, I used to think I have to do everything just by hand. I can't trace anything. I can't copy anything. I have to figure out all the lines and everything. And I never had art school. And now I'm like, you know what? Who cares? I can trace out the outline of a face. Nobody's grading me on it. Right?
No, but you've graded yourself with that technically is not being an artist. Like, that's what you've told.
Right.
Like, that's
right.
honestly that you say that, because that's what I thought too. Like, oh, if someone does that, that's not. And then being with people that are artists and watching them do it and like being like, oh, well, they're dope. Like, I could do that then maybe. Like, right? Being like, wow, okay. So, I mean, I think that it's all about permission space and trying things and seeing what's going on. And we're all just, I mean, we're just here to shed the light and to be a place of like, could we have different conversations besides all of the negativity per se? Like, that's a part of it. I mean, but that's not the biggest part. Right. So if you're not already following, either one of us, probably, that'd be great. I'd love it. Like, I'm not really good at it. I mean, my fault. I'm still trying. Everything still is a lot of it's word of mouth for me. And I'm trying to get myself out there a little more, because I just want to help. I mean, as my nephew, the last thing I would say is my nephew, Aunt Jen, what are you trying to do? And I was like, I'm just trying to help people. Like, that's all I really want to do. And he's like, and he knows that. He's like, Aunt Jen, you just really want to help people. I'm like, that's it, bro. Like, I don't want to try and be this big superstar. I'm not trying to do any of that. Like, I just really would love to help people because authentically, I know how painful it is to be a prisoner in your own self.
Yeah. Exactly. And on that note, that's very well said and beautiful. Follow at AuntJen888 on all social media platforms. And you can email her. It's going by the scroll here in a second. And we really appreciate any likes, shares, and subscribes. All of that is free. And we may or may not be live next Wednesday.
Yeah, we might have to do a different time. I'm traveling, so there's a big time difference. So we're gonna see what we're gonna do.
Yeah. So something will happen. You'll hear from us. I love you and love to everyone. And we will see you guys later. Thank you so much for being here. Bye, everybody.
Bye.